quick shout out to High Level Pro Tools. High Level Pro Tools are actually sponsors of our channel. High Level Pro Tools are the most powerful partner for Go High Level. If you are an agency or you are building SaaS like we do, High Level Pro Tools absolutely your go-to partner for white label support and VA services. I will leave the link below. Don't forget to check them out. I 100% recommend them. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast about business trends, tactics, and tips. And today I have a very special guest, Suzie Harvey. Hello, Suzie. Thanks for being here. Suzie is tuning in from UK. It's so interesting every time our guests are from different part of the world. And today in UK. Hi, Suzie. How are you? And please tell us what you do and a bit more about your work.
Hi, Vera. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to join. It's a pleasure to be here and to share a little bit about what I do. So I would say currently what I'm doing at the moment is a combination. It's really a portfolio of different tasks. So I'm doing quite a bit of board work. So I serve on a number of commercial boards, also a public sector board with the NHS and a charity board. And I also do a little bit of consulting, and I'm building a mentoring business as well. So it's a whole variety of things. I would say the theme across all of them is I'm looking to help other people to create as much impact as possible in the world. So that's my purpose, is to help others maximize their impact.
Yeah, I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, and what you're doing is very interesting. It also seems like a foreign language to simple people like me. So I'm gonna ask you some tough questions if you don't mind. So you operate on a board level. What do you see that most founders or operators completely miss?
So I think a lot of founders and operators are working in the day-to-day, and they're, desperately trying to achieve and move forward with the pathway that they're on. And really the board's role is there to help them to move forward faster if possible. Also to look out for any risks and potential problems that they might not see, because they have to be very channel visioned in order to be successful as founders and leaders. And also there may be opportunities out there they're missing as well. So, the board can bring real positive things. I think often people think that boards are there to challenge and be difficult. But in actual fact, when you're aligned as a board member with your leadership team, you're there to help them. You're aligned. You're on the same vision, the same direction. You're just performing different roles in that. So that the founders and leaders are doing the operational work, and the board is there to advise and to make sure that the leaders don't miss anything while they're so busy in the day-to-day.
I see you talk a lot about clarity and governance. Why do those become critical only when companies started scaling?
So I think that they are still important right in the early stages as well. And if you can build that groundwork of clarity and governance right at the start, that's going to stand you in good stead into the future and as you scale. So it's not just for the scaling, but I would say that that's when it becomes critical. So once you start scaling, it can be very messy. You can get into a situation where there are so many things happening at once. You're trying to chase opportunities, you're trying to build opportunities. And if you haven't got your formats and governance in place already at that point, then that's kind of another layer that you have to think about when really all you want to do is focus on scaling.
Yeah, very interesting. The word governance, it looks so complicated to me. But yeah, it's very
I can explain that simply.
Yeah.
So I think it's really just a framework of rules. And it's applicable to whatever your organization is focused on. And we're all familiar with governance in our everyday lives. We have governance in the organisation that runs us, our government of the country. We're also probably familiar with governance in schools. So if you have children in schools, you're probably familiar with the fact that there's a school governor organisation there helping to run the school. And so governance is just about building a set of rules based on experience. So the school has experience with their community, with the type of population that they're serving, and the government is obviously of the country is their rules are based on experience of working with that particular country.
Thank you for explaining that. I also seen that you've been driving global growth around United States, Europe, and even APAC. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yes.
So very, I mean, that's very big. So what's the biggest mistake companies make when they are expanding internationally?
Okay, I think that's quite an easy one to answer, and that's not understanding the local culture and the way business is done in that particular region. So adapting the way you do business. So, for example, if you're an American company and you need to expand into Europe, you need to think about the local differences. The different countries in Europe operate very differently. They have different legal systems, obviously different languages as well. We may think English is the standard language across the world, but everybody uses it slightly differently. And so it's really understanding that local business culture and how you can adapt the way you do business to the way business is done in that country. And until you get that right, it's very difficult to make headway.
Yeah, I've been there too. When I used to work for financial services, they told me, hey, we want to penetrate into Russian-speaking countries, ex-Soviet Union, because I'm originally Russian. So it was absolutely done without any knowledge. That is not only the compliance and everything is different, but also the mentality of people is very different. So it's very different approach as well. You delivered 40 million in new business in a year, and that's not luck, obviously. So what was the thinking behind that growth?
So that's really culmination of the building of relationships with new companies. So that was a company that was growing globally, and they were looking to expand into new markets, both within the countries that they were already in, but also in new countries and new regions around the world. And that doesn't, achieving that level of actual growth in bringing the money in doesn't happen within a single year. It's a build up of building that relationship and community in each of those regions and countries over a number of preceding years.
Yeah, and I'm working with small to medium-sized businesses, and I always say you need to have system and process in place. Otherwise, you can't grow and scale. And I believe this is very similar in bigger organizations. Did you ever had a moment in your career where you had to step into leadership before you felt like you're ready?
I don't think so, to be brutally honest, because I think being a woman in business, you often don't get given those opportunities as early as you should. So I think a lot of women in business don't get into those senior leadership positions easily. They have to fight their way in. So to be honest, they're ready long before. So I think this is a common theme amongst women working at higher levels in business, that they, once they get into those roles, they're actually very comfortable because they've been trying to get there for a long time.
Yeah, and as a women, obviously, there's most of the senior level or CEOs are mainly men. Did you feel any difficulties by being woman in leadership?
Yes, I think there are difficulties there, because I definitely work differently from a lot of male-dominated leadership teams. So I tend to work a lot on relationships, emotional intelligence. I work on, it's probably the soft skills piece. I'm not there to dominate conversations or, shout about things or, see if I can shout louder than the person next to me. I'm there to contribute when it really adds value. So I think that's quite a big difference. And I think that there are probably, many other women that feel the same. They work similarly. And I've purposely not changed the way that I work because I think it's the right way to work. So I'm comfortable when I'm in an organisation that appreciates the way that I work.
Did you ever felt like you want to quit? Did you have those moments?
Yes, of course. I think all the way through your career, you have points where it's difficult and you're struggling and you don't really know what the right way is forward. I think the important thing there is to talk to people about it. You may or may not have somebody within your working life that you can talk to, but hopefully you've got friends or colleagues or, somebody that you can have a conversation with. And I think just talking to people about the concerns that you have helps to make things a lot clearer, and it can help you to see a path forward when you feel like there isn't a path forward.
Yeah, and at what stage a company should start thinking like a board and not a startup? Is there any particular criterias?
So I would say companies benefit from boards right from the start. So even before you're making revenue, developing the product and so on, you can still benefit from a board at that point. The people that you have on your board will probably be different when you're in a startup phase from when you're later on and scaling. You need different type of advice and support. To be honest, you probably also need different leadership of the company at those different stages as well. So many founders are not the ideal person for helping that business scale. So I think understanding what's best for the business is really important, but you can absolutely benefit from advisors right from the start. It just helps to stop you from making mistakes, brings opportunities, brings connections, just helps keep you on the right path.
Yeah, there's lots of business owners who are finding difficulties to actually delegate or bring someone smarter or who can do actually better. And as a business owner, you don't have to do everything right. You don't have to be good at everything. But I think it's all about mind changing because, we all have different mind and then it shifts as you grow with a company, right?
Yes, I mean what you can achieve as a team of people all aligned and with supporting the same vision is far, far greater than what you can achieve by yourself. So it's important to always remember that, and I think a lot of founders are potentially more comfortable working fairly solo, at least initially, and being completely in control. That's natural. That's why they are founders. But I think it's learning. In order to make that business fly and scale, you do need to be prepared to work with other people.
Yeah. What does high functioning board actually looks like in practice?
I would say that's a board that is very much aligned with the founder vision, that has a process in place that works to support that founder or that leadership team if you're later on and scaling, that has that is adaptable and creates the atmosphere that is productive for the leadership team. That the board is there to support the leadership team to move forward in the best way that they can and as fast as they can. So whatever that atmosphere and process that needs to be created, that's what needs to happen. So it's all about listening and adapting, I would say, not going in there with an expectation that this is how a board works. I'm in boards, every single board I'm in works very, very differently for a good reason.
What's in your opinion, when I used to work for a company in a corporate, they have offices in different countries. And at that time, I was a little bit frustrated because I thought that our management and the board, they were mainly thinking only about company, but they weren't really thinking about the customers. How do you feel? And I see still this happening in large organizations. Can you put your 50 cents here?
If you're not thinking about customers, then you're not going to have a business going forward. So, customers are what keep you paid. So bringing the income in, and without the money coming in from customers, the business won't exist. So it's as simple as that. You have to adapt and fulfill what your customers are looking for. And if you can't do that, it's going to be a tough life.
Yeah, that's right. You help companies to scale into the new markets. So what separates those who succeed versus those who failed?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. So it's aligning with the business culture of the country that you're trying to move into. So where you've got people on the ground there that really understand the country, understand the way business is done in that country. And there are certain things that some countries expect and others don't. For example, it's difficult to work in China unless you have an office in China. Setting up an office in China is quite a big deal for somebody from outside, so you may or may not decide that that's what you want to do, but if you don't have an office in China, it's quite difficult to do business there.
Yeah, that's right. How do you balance the speed of growth, risks, compliance, and now we have AI?
So getting it all balanced right does depend on the type of business you're in. So I've been in the life science and healthcare business all my life.
Yeah, healthcare especially.
Yeah, highly regulated area. So you obviously need to be always complying with the current regulation. I think the interesting thing about AI coming in now is that that's speeding up the rate of innovation. So the development of new products, particularly if you're looking at digital therapeutics, or any of the processes that are being automated through AI or using AI to supplement. That's moving faster than traditional regulation moves. So that's a really difficult area at the moment. In fact, I was at a meeting this week where this was discussed to great extent. And I think really what we have to do is, as innovators and developers of new products using AI, we have to think about we have to second guess what is the regulation likely to be in the future. We have to take that kind of moral responsibility of regulation into our design work, because eventually the regulation will catch up, and by the time we're selling that product, whenever it is in the future, we need to know that that's compliant. So it's a sort of a hard thing, chicken and egg. So normally you're designing just to fit these check boxes that you're used to from a regulatory environment. Now we're having to think, well, what might those check boxes be in the future that we're needing to incorporate in our design work now?
Yeah, I am from financial background. There is also lots of compliance. And I don't even know how can they, follow the speed we are in now with AI. It's just unbelievable. And decisions when it comes to compliance are not happening fast. Everything is slow, especially if it's if you work with large companies. So I don't even know how they can follow.
I think there's no straightforward answer to that at the moment, but I think it's something that we all need to have at the front of our minds and to be thinking about. And particularly in regulated environments. I mean, obviously the difference in, if you get it wrong in the healthcare industry, it leads to death of patients, and so that's kind of it's not possible. We can't do that. So you have to take that responsibility yourself and design that in from the start.
Yeah, that's right. What signals tell you that the company is just not ready to scale yet?
Not ready to scale. I think it's more about whether the delivery is ready to scale. I think that's the piece that's tough. I've been in companies where the delivery wasn't ready to scale, and you end up disrupting customers, upsetting customers. And once you start doing that, you'll start to lose customers. So in actual fact, it takes you the wrong way. So I would say making sure that your delivery is fully up to speed. But in addition to that, all the structures that you need in place around are ready to move up to that next level. You may need to go on a recruitment drive and employ people quickly. Have you got the process in place for doing that, getting the right people on board? It's not easy to recruit fast.
I think that's the hardest thing in business is recruiting. It's really the hardest to find a good talent.
Yeah. And if you may be having to you've got a set pool and you're having to take 6 people instead of 1 person, you maybe are not, ending up with people who are not the best talent. So you need to think about that and work it. It doesn't mean to say it won't work, because you can absolutely train those people up, but you need to have a system that allows you to do that.
Yeah, that's right. And talking about AI and health tech and the future, what should leaders in healthcare be paying attention to right now that they're ignoring?
So I think taking a moral obligation on here. So you need to think about it morally. So it's not a case of, am I doing my job properly and getting the design work done or getting the product out there, but is this the right product? Do we know enough about it? And also, do the people in the company know enough about it? Does the leadership really understand what that product is doing? So a lot of people in senior leadership don't have much understanding of AI and technology. And I would count myself as one of those. So, I'm very open to learning, but I'm not an expert by any means. I've been dabbling in this for the last few years like the rest of us. So, we're all very new to this. And there's only a very small number of people in the world that really understand it and really get it. So I would say, if you're on the development side, you need to find a way to make sure that leadership really understands what you're doing, because they're going to be supporting you and getting behind you. And if there are any surprises that they're not aware of that they should know about, that can be problematic. So I think just having this, it comes back to the clarity really that we were mentioning earlier.
Do you think AI would replace people in healthcare? Because obviously healthcare is something you need to study, you need to, but there's also lots of AI tools and some people losing jobs. What's your thoughts about healthcare? Will still changes happening with AI?
So my personal feeling is that I can't foresee a time yet when AI is going to replace humans completely. I see it as a tool to support the human
to make it faster
activities. Right. And so I would say human-centered AI is what I think will last in the long term. We may have all these grand ideas of replacing cheap labor with even cheaper AI. That may happen in the short term, but I think ultimately the jobs may be different in the future. So I think there will be jobs for people. I think AI will also create jobs. So I think the job market will just look a bit different. It might change a bit faster than we used to, but we need to remain adaptable, keep up those human skills. So all those soft skills, the empathy, understanding the human condition. I can't foresee a time when AI is going to really be able to replace that.
Yeah, that's right. So you work closely with CEOs. What's the most common blind spot, like even top leaders have?
I think there's a whole variety of them. It's not a sort of common thread, I wouldn't say. But I think that the main issue I have with leadership is that they're very focused on a particular vision, and they therefore don't see things coming in from the side, be them positive or negative. They might be missing opportunities as well as potentially missing hurdles or risks or problems. And that's what the board is there for, to help leaders do that, because as we said earlier, you do really need a leader to be driven and vision focused, and to some extent a little bit blinkered, in order to be able to move at speed. But they need a team of people around them that are helping them not to miss all these other pieces. So I would say, if there's any blind spot, that's what it is. But in some ways, to be a good leader, you do actually have to have that kind of tunnel vision focus. Otherwise, you're not going to get there.
Yeah, that's right. And if there's any founders who are listening to us right now and they want to become board ready, where do you think they should start? What should they start doing today?
So are you talking about founders who want to take on boards, or founders who want to become board members themselves?
Yeah, want to become board members.
Okay, if they want to become board members. So the best thing is to think about what skills you have that are going to be useful for boards. And that's not just your own skills, but the network of people that you have. So, for example, I don't have any skills in the shipping industry, but I have a good connection who's very high up in the shipping industry. So I can help other people by connecting them with this person. So think about not just your own skills, but how can you multiply your impact with all the other people that you're connected with. And I would say another piece is raising your visibility, particularly on LinkedIn. That's where people are looking for board members. So if they don't know about you, they're not going to come to you. So it's as simple as that. And most board roles are not advertised. 99% of roles are not advertised. They go to the people that they know.
Yeah, so everything going still to personal branding, right? This is something I never wanted to do, but for the last few years I've been doing that.
But it's really, really important, and even more so now, I think, that everybody's we all work in an online world.
Yeah. I still have clients who actually from shipping industry, and the owners say, no, I don't want anybody to know my name. I don't want to be like, he's nowhere to be seen, no social media, nothing. And he still have this. That's what I also wanted to do back in the days, where I didn't want to show my face, and he still, like, I could see his company operates, it's on LinkedIn, it's all seemed to be good and growing. And he's like, no, I don't want my name to be seen anywhere. And I said, listen, things are changing. You have to start showing up. And I still have people like that. Even my husband, like, absolutely zero social media, running a financial advisory firm, where they still rely on connection, referral. But thank God they're doing good.
Yes, that can absolutely work if you've got the right network, and the people know you and are coming to you. That's absolutely great. So absolutely, if that works for you, do. But many people, I tend to work internationally, so it's difficult for me to connect with people face to face on a regular enough basis to build up that relationship. So I rely very much on building connections online and communicating with people online. Time zones apart from anything else. We're not sometimes I'm communicating a lot with somebody in Western Canada at the moment. There's only about a couple of hours that we really overlap, so
I have the same thing. I do have clients in Dubai, and majority of the clients in US, or some in Europe. And time zone, but online visibility is really important. Then I don't have to explain to people who I am, because they already know.
I mean, if you can get yourself well known enough for your needs without doing it online, absolutely great. Take my hat off to you. But I have not been able to do that. I'm having to resort to doing it online because I can't do that for the work that I do, because of working internationally, really.
One leadership trait that matters most, in your opinion?
I would say empathy, understanding people. You can't get other people, you can't lead people if you don't really understand how they work and what matters to them. If you understand that, you can engineer your leadership so that it brings out the best in them.
Okay, thank you. And one red flag in ACO.
Sorry, can you
One red flag in CEO.
red flag for a
Flag.
CEO?
Yeah.
You mean in the way they work, or?
Yeah. Yeah. Or maybe once you see it, you think,
Oh, right,
okay, it's
ones
a
that I
red
wouldn't
flag.
work with, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, I always like to talk to the leadership first before I take on any kind of work. And for me, I need to be aligned with their vision. So I need to feel that I'm aligned with what they do. And I also need to feel that they will listen to what I say and that they appreciate what I'm offering. And there are definitely people that I've chosen not to work with because I just feel I don't think I can work with you, or I don't think that you're going to listen to what I've got to offer. So there, if people are not obviously keen to listen to me, then I think those are the people that are difficult to work with. So I would choose not to
So
work.
do you have any like internal policy or rules where you kind of can just like, we call it firing clients, where you think, right, this is not a good fit and we're just
Yeah, I mean, definitely there are some that I've thought, yes, actually, this is not going on. Sometimes, to be honest, it's on my side. So sometimes I've taken something on and I get to a point and I feel actually I don't, they're actually very happy, but I don't feel I'm really adding the value that I want to be able to add for whatever reason. It's just not a good fit for some reason. So sometimes, even if they're very happy, I feel that's not a good use of my time because I'm not able to add the level of value that I really want to. And then there are other people that, usually I will pick that up before we start working together that are clearly not a good personality fit with me.
that's important.
And yeah, so those people I would just say, great, love what you're doing. Sometimes I choose to work with them in a different way, actually. So I might actually, rather than, it might be discussing a board role, I say, well, rather than being on a board, I'll actually do some consultancy work for you, just help you, complete a project. Or I might feel that I can help, I believe in what they're doing. I just don't feel I can really work directly with them. So I'll offer to help promote them on social media and that type of thing. So there are often different ways that you can help people, positively without actually having to work with them if you don't feel that's the best way to move forward.
It's happened a couple of times to me where I felt like I had this feeling internally, no, I should not work with this client, but it was a good invoice, and then I still go and take it. And then later on, like, I regret and I thought, okay, I should have listened to my, to my internal feeling.
Yeah. And so sometimes it from the start and you've made just kind of make a bad decision. We will make bad decisions. But, sometimes it doesn't actually really become visible till a bit later on. So sometimes you think you've made the right decision and then it becomes evident it wasn't, after a few months or however long. So I think we just have to accept we're not perfect and, these things.
Yeah, that's right. Small recommendation, one book or resource that shaped your thinking?
Oh gosh, I always find this question difficult because I'm actually not a big book reader, which is a bad admission. But
everybody's different. Maybe you have a resource or a course.
I learn by listening to people, and I would say it's not really one key person or key thing. The way I move forward tends to be a bit of an amalgamation. I'll hear, little snippets here and there from different people and kind of bring them into my own process. I think I'm fairly sort of self-sufficient in what I do. And now, when I was younger, I definitely wasn't confident about that. Now that I'm older, I'm much more confident that actually, my gut feeling is pretty good. And my gut intention is right. And I just, I'm constantly listening, curious. I'm a lifelong learner, so I'm always gathering more information. So I will bring little snippets from different places into what I do just to kind of build out my abilities and my processes.
Yeah, I think confidence is really important factor, especially for women. I'm talking from personal experience because this is something I was lacking. And I think for me, yeah, that's what I needed, like get confident. Like I know so much, but I wasn't confident to actually go and start speaking about it.
I think that's one of my incentives for mentoring now, is to help people who are perhaps earlier on in their careers, like I was when I knew the right thing to do, but I wasn't confident enough about putting that forward. And so if I can help other people who to kind of reach that level of confidence a bit earlier in their career, we're all going to benefit, aren't we? So
If
that's
anybody,
part of it.
yeah. If anybody wants to work with you, they can just find you on LinkedIn, or we will leave resources below this video. Guys, don't forget to click like and share if it resonates with you. And if anybody wants to work with Suzie, you can definitely visit her LinkedIn profile, or I don't know if you have a website. We'll share
Yeah,
links
probably
to
my LinkedIn profile is the best thing, because I'm on LinkedIn pretty much all day, every day. So you know, if you DM me on LinkedIn, I'm going to pick up your message. So that's the best place to go, I would say, and it's where I keep my most up to date sort of progress and thoughts. And yeah, I do a lot of posting on LinkedIn. So follow me on LinkedIn and communicate with me on LinkedIn. I think that's the best suggestion.
Yeah, thank you, Suzie. And before we wrap up, I have one last question. Growth or stability? What matters most to you right now?
Definitely growth. I do like stability to some extent, but I get caged in. So no, I have to be personal growth, business growth. Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about growth and moving forward. I'm very forward thinking. That's just in my nature, and I'm always looking for what's happening next, what's next month, next year, what's going to happen in 10 years' time. Yeah, where am I going to be? You know, how long can I live?
Yeah, I think growth is really, it's not only business, not only financially, but it's all about also personal growth, right?
Yes, absolutely. Well, for me, it's all kind of part of the same thing. I think when I was younger, I found that quite difficult, that people tried to divide your sort of personal life and personal goals from your business goals. And for me, they're all sort of wrapped in together. And sometimes it's a little bit more personal and sometimes a little bit more business. But if they don't dovetail together, then it's very difficult to make life work.
Yeah, it has to be together. I learned this, like, for example, I'm always saying if you don't have discipline in your house, you're not going to have discipline in your business. If you don't have routine, and process in place in your house, you're not going to, be organized in your business. It's all affected. And that's
Yeah.
how I try to teach my kids as well, who always complain
Yeah.
why I am nagging, why I'm telling them, to tidy their beds, and because honestly, I do say always, and I believe it's all together, right? It's not only,
Yeah.
it's kind of, it's part of your life. So if you don't.
And I would say that about one thing I'm very keen on is inspiring people and finding ways to inspire people. So I would say inspire people in their everyday life, in their home life, and their personal life, in their personal growth, as well as inspiring them in business and in their career. So if I can do that, I think that's the way to help people really achieve and to maximize their impact on the world.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Thank you so much, Suzie. That was very powerful. I hope our listeners can benefit. And thank you so much for your time. And it was amazing.
Thank you so much, Vera. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm really looking forward to talking to anybody who's interested in connecting here. Thank you.